everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Ginger Pierce, and I'm one of the travel agents with Marvelous Mouse Travels. We are the agency that runs this Facebook group, along with several others that are focused on different destinations. And officially, as of this month, we are now a diamond level earmarked authorized Disney vacation planner. That is the absolute highest tier of authorized Disney vacation planner agencies that there is. And so that speaks not only to the number of vacations that we plan to Disney World, Disneyland, all Disney destinations, but also the level of expertise that comes along with that. So we are trained by Disney, often on site, which is ironically what we're going to be talking to you about tonight, to be experts in their vacation products. And so we are really excited to be here in our Disneyland group tonight to talk to you about a recent training trip that some of our agents took to Disneyland. This is Sundays with MMT. This is a weekly live agent panel video series that we do in one of our Facebook groups every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And so we are going to be using a platform called StreamYard tonight to go live in this group on Facebook and also on our agency YouTube channel. So if you would like to ask questions or post comments, we would love for you to interact with us live tonight. So feel free to go ahead and drop those into the comment section at any point, and we are happy to take those questions for you. You might be asked if you are commenting on Facebook to allow StreamYard to display your username and profile picture. Just know that you can decline that permission and you can still post with us anonymously. But I am joined tonight by three of our marvelous agents. Ladies, thank you so much for being with us tonight. And if you would take just a moment to tell everybody your name, how long you've been with the agency, and the best way for people to reach out to you if they're interested in planning a vacation.
Hi, everybody. I'm Karen Fitting, and I have been with the agency almost 5 years. In a couple months, it'll be 5 years. And you can reach me through my email. You might see it on the screen, Karen@marvelousmousetravels.com.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jody Graham. I have been with the agency for over 5 years now, and the best way to reach me is also at my email address, jody.graham@marvelousmousetravels.com.
Hi, everybody. I am Lindsay Smith. I will be celebrating my 5-year anniversary in March. And the best way to reach me is my email address, lindsay.smith@marvelousmousetravels.com.
And again, my name is Ginger. I have also been with the agency almost 5 years. And the best way to reach out to me is to visit my blog, which you can find at gingermnt.com. So, ladies, you all went to Disneyland, obviously, for a training trip with a group of other agents. And whenever we do these training trips, they are obviously a lot of fun. I mean, hello, you're at Disneyland or Disney World or on a cruise or whatever the case may be. But they also are a lot of time spent checking out resorts, looking at different restaurants, learning from Disney about their products. And so I thought it would be really great to hear from you guys a little bit of like what you learned while you were there that you think would be beneficial for people who are thinking about traveling to Disneyland. So let's start first with what is typically most people's, first thing they experience when they arrive at Disneyland, and that is where you're staying. So talk to us a little bit about the hotels that you stayed at and maybe some hotels that you toured.
I'll start. Jody and I actually roomed together. So we stayed at the Grand Californian. And we both had I knew I did have my first taste of club level. So we sprung for club level, which was an amazing experience. And I would recommend to anyone. Grand Californian is as close as you can get to the parks. It has its own entrance into California Adventure. And also an entrance right into downtown Disney. It is a beautiful resort, a very Art Deco style. It also feels kind of woodsy. If you're familiar with Disneyland, I feel like it's a good mashup of Wilderness Lodge and, it's really the California version of the Grand Floridian. So, but just a more Art Deco woodsy feel. But it's a beautiful resort. We loved our stay there and the proximity to the parks. And Jody, you can, I guess, speak a little bit more on that.
Yes, no, I was going to say the same thing. It definitely reminds me of Animal Kingdom / Wilderness Lodge, just with that beautiful lobby. And, unlike Walt Disney World, where the Grand Californian is just amazing. You literally are out the door to Disney Springs and out the door the other side to California Adventure. And like Lindsay said, the club level amenities were amazing. One night we actually got back from the parks and we sat on the balcony in the club level lounge and watched the fireworks display. And they just had, I've done club level, not at Disney, but this was just, it blew me away, both of us, just the amount of offerings all day long. And it was an incredible experience. Absolutely.
I too stayed this trip. I also stayed at the Grand Californian club level for my first time. However, Disneyland's my home resort. I'm a 6-hour drive. So to give a little bit of different perspective, I often stay at some of the Good Neighbor hotels. And I have a handful of favorites, but I would say knowing those locations, because there are what's different in California is that there aren't as many on-site properties. There's only 3 right now. And so the bulk of people will stay off-site. And there's a lot that are walking distance. There's a lot that are a short bus ride away and others a little bit further away. So there's a lot of really good options for staying at Disneyland.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. And if you're wondering what those other on-site properties are, there is the Disneyland Hotel, which, for a lot of people, that's their favorite just because it's, iconic Disneyland. It's got the pool with the monorail, decoration, the monorail slide and stuff like that. And then are we still calling it Paradise Pier at the moment? I know it's going through a retheme, but
I think it's still Paradise Pier right now.
Yeah, I think so too. It is being rethemed after Pixar, correct? Y'all correct me if I'm wrong.
I think so, yes.
Yeah, that one was also one of the on-site properties. But Karen's absolutely right. There's a ton of really good Good Neighbor properties that you can choose from as well. So let's move on to the parks themselves. For people who are maybe new to Disneyland, let's talk a little bit about the parks that are there, what types of attractions are in each, and maybe specifically what you guys got to check out while you were there.
So I really I loved Lindsay again. She was my roommate. And so I let her just kind of lead us around. And I was just literally blown away by a lot of the attractions at Disneyland versus Disney World. And they're both amazing. What I think the main difference for me was there's certainly some different attractions, like Cars Land was absolutely incredible. There's things that you can see at Disneyland that you can't at Disney World. And the other thing that I really enjoyed was some of the attractions that even are at both parks are a little bit longer. So Pirates of the Caribbean, for one, it seemed like it just went on forever. It was amazing. Really enjoyed Haunted Mansion while we were there because they had the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay. And that was just so awesome. And then the whole New Orleans area, which is unique to Disneyland. I really, really enjoyed that also. Yeah, really, really, I loved it. And I love how close everything is. You can just hop from one park to the next, and it's just an easy walk. And you can just really get to both parks easily, as much as you'd like in a day.
There's basically a courtyard in between. It's really hard to imagine something so compact if you're used to Florida. But when someone tells you a hopper is absolutely necessary, a hopper is absolutely necessary. I mean,
Yes.
it is unbelievable how you can walk to the other, and I'm not even going to say 5 minutes. It doesn't take that long. I mean, you could be there in a couple of minutes. You can stand in the middle and spin and see everything around you. You've got Downtown Disney one way, and you've got Disneyland, and then California Adventure. I think a cool thing there is, once you pass security to get into that area, you're done. So it's really nice that, you're in a secure area. So you're not constantly having to check bags back and forth, because when you hop in Florida, you sometimes have to do that depending on the transportation you take.
Right.
So it's a really easy thing to do when you're there.
Absolutely. I agree. Yep.
I think someone counted that it was 150 steps, give or take, from gate to gate, from entrance to entrance. So yeah, I mean, I tell people that all the time, and I take it for granted, but it is the original park, so there is a bit of nostalgia there in Disneyland Park, and I think people get confused. So Disneyland Park is similar to Magic Kingdom, right? That's where the castle is. That's where it has Tomorrowland, Adventureland, New Orleans Square, which is my favorite
Mhm.
spot on the
Yeah.
planet. And then the other park is California Adventure. And I hadn't been since they opened the Avengers campus. So you have the Avengers campus at California Adventure, you have Cars Land, and then Pixar Pier. It's just California Adventure right now. There's nothing like that in Florida. There might be snippets of it, but even like the Tower of Terror in Florida is now the Guardians of Galaxy breakout mission in California. So there's really especially for Disney fans, there's just really fun, different things in both parks. And I loved your idea, Lindsay, about the security. I hadn't thought about that perspective. I think that that's really a good perspective to consider.
Absolutely. And, Avengers Campus is something that I personally am very excited about because I have not been out to Disneyland since that has opened either. And so definitely am very excited about that as a huge Marvel fan. And that's something that you don't really, yes, there is Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind in Epcot now, but that's really the only MCU thing that is in Florida. So you have a whole section of a park that's dedicated to Marvel now. So if you've got that Marvel fan, you really want to get out to California and experience that because that's pretty special.
I also think a big draw of the California experience, the combination of Disneyland and California Adventure, I personally think there is a much larger character presence just walking around.
For sure.
They are everywhere. They really are. And they are walking around and they're interacting with people, especially the Avengers campus. I mean, you could spend, a good part of your day just interacting with the characters who are walking around. And I don't know why that difference is from coast to coast, but I think you feel it a lot more at Disneyland for some reason.
Yeah, agreed. Totally agree.
And Ginger, you're going to love the big store that they have there in Avengers Campus too. It's an amazing store.
Very excited about that.
You'll never be more sore after a ride than playing web slingers. I mean, the whole thing of this, like constantly work out before you go.
Get those arms ready.
Get the arms ready.
So speaking of, the parks, we obviously can't talk about the parks without talking about the food in the parks. Of course, obviously there's some great places to eat in downtown Disney and at the resorts too, but talk to us a little bit about some of your favorite places that you experienced.
Well, I won't ever miss a beignet and coffee in the afternoon in New Orleans Square. And they'll often have jazz music or some other kind of music. It's at the French Market. It's just the best. That's my must do every day of every trip.
Perfect.
The fried pickles at Carnation Cafe. It's the whole spirit. I think Disneyland has a thing about pickles because you'll see people walking around with the large pickles, just chomping on a large pickle. That's a thing out there. But I mean, the actual fried pickle spears at Carnation Cafe with the potato soup, that was recommended to me to get those two items. And they were so good. And I'm so glad that I did. But also for me, Carthay Circle was amazing. Just being able to see that being modeled after the Carthay Theater, all of the nostalgia, the photos of Walt Disney that are in there. That is really a very unique piece of history. I feel like that is really fun to walk through when you're there.
We got to eat at Blue Bayou one night, which is one of the most I think, sought after reservations that people always are trying to get. And it was just amazing right over there in New Orleans Square. And I just thought the ambiance, it was an incredible. And they had, I love the Monte Cristo was delicious. It was just very much deserving of that accolade.
Absolutely.
The churros are better too in California.
Yeah.
Oh, are they? Oh, yes. Wow.
They are.
Yeah.
And the smell
and the
from
corn
the churro
dogs.
cart.
Yeah.
Or I was going to say corn dogs too.
Yes.
Oh, corn dogs. Yeah.
Well, California Adventure is they will have a food and wine festival. So they are I feel like they're very kind of a mix of Hollywood Studios and Epcot in that. And if you're familiar, that I just feel like it's just a neat way to sample a bunch of different things. They have a ton of food. They have specialty food carts depending on what festival or what time of year. So for foodies, that's definitely a good place to go.
Absolutely. totally agree. I think we just had a question come up. What was your favorite food at Avengers Campus? That's a great question.
So Pim's is really cool.
I was going to say Pim's.
That pretzel,
Pim's Kitchen.
man.
I think that's kind of
the pretzel, the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they have really unique, I guess, is it Pim's Test Kitchen, I think is maybe the official name. So it's very unique. It looks scarier than it tastes. It's very, it's actually basic food to make it look like it's, very, very Avengers, very different. But I think a lot of people love that, especially because it's an experience in addition to dining.
Sounds like Galaxy's Edge a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right,
for sure.
Absolutely.
Which is in Disneyland in California as a side.
Yes. Yep.
Awesome. That was a great question. Thank you for that. So we're going to switch gears a little bit, and I'm going to ask you guys more of, I guess a question that maybe somebody out here watching this might have. If you are a Disney newbie, like let's say you have never been to a Disney park at all, why is Disneyland a great vacation for someone who's new to all things Disney?
I personally think that Disneyland is a lot easier to navigate. If you're brand new to Disney, sometimes you can go into Disney World and newbies don't really understand how big it is. It's the size of Manhattan. It can take you an hour to get from your resort, depending on where you stay, transportation wise, you're going to spend a lot of time going back and forth. Whereas Disneyland is just super easy. Everything is right there. You have really the best of both worlds in that sense, because you're not having to navigate and figure out how to get how to get here and there. It's all right there for you. So I think Disneyland is a perfect place for a newbie.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I was going to say, just in sheer size, it is definitely much easier to navigate. It's not nearly as overwhelming.
Yeah.
I also kind of think it's fun as a newbie to start at the original park. There's so much there that's classic Disney. You've got Pinocchio and Snow White, and you've got these little rides that, Walt Disney had in mind, and they're still there. Mr. Toad is still there. You've got these original ones that are still there. And, I don't know, it just feels different. It feels like Walt Disney there. Just because it's so classic. So I don't know, maybe starting from the beginning, if you're a newbie, that would be a neat thing to do.
Yeah.
I think so too. I also think, you don't need a whole week to enjoy Disneyland, right? I think for me, optimally 3 days, if not more. You could do it in 2, but 3 to me is the optimal time to spend there. And so I feel like the economics of your time and enjoying the parks and getting a flavor and a taste of Disney, and you really get a full flavor, full taste of it at Disneyland when you're doing that as a brand new to Disney person.
Yeah, that's a great point. So let's switch and look at the opposite side of that coin. Let's say we have someone who maybe has been going to Disney World all their life, completely familiar with Disney World, and they're looking over at Disneyland and going, okay, 2 parks as opposed to 4. Why would I make the trek all the way out to California as someone who's maybe a Disney veteran?
I'm going to start by saying everything we've said already, right? The on-site properties are super convenient and really easy. I mean, imagine getting to your resort and just being minutes, and you don't have to get in another vehicle to get to where you need to go. The food, I think, is amazing. And just the nostalgia of it all. So for me, it's just everything we've already been saying.
Also, Disney World there's just a lot more planning involved. When you go, if you're used to this, the getting up at 6 a.m., 60 days out and all that kind of thing. I mean, you do have to still get up for Disneyland dining and stuff, but it's 9 a.m. instead. Well, on East Coast, it's just a little bit more relaxed vibe. I think it's a nice break from some of the stress that can come with planning a Disney World vacation. For someone that's done that over and over again, I think it's a nice change to, sometimes you can just be there and get a reservation. We had occasions ourselves when you could just go in and grab a reservation and somewhere to eat. And it was very, very simple, a little bit more laid back.
And I think you've got enough new things there. You've got enough with Avengers Campus and Cars Land and New Orleans Square. But I also think that you get to experience your favorites in a new way. Space Mountain is completely different. This
Yes.
Space Mountain, you're side by side instead of tandem. Splash Mountain, you're tandem instead of side by side, so you've got, like Jody said, Pirates is, I feel like, twice as long.
Yep.
Small World is monstrous
Yes.
there. And, your boat starts outside, and it's not this little storefront in Fantasyland. I mean, it is lit up like Times
Yes.
Square at night. So, like I said, it's a fun way to experience your favorites in a completely different light.
Yes, I
And things
totally
you've
agree.
never done, like Indiana Jones, for example.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's some great rides that and Incredicoaster.
Mhm.
There's just a lot of attraction. Cars Land, of course, also. We already mentioned Avengers Campus. There's just a lot there that you cannot see at Disney World. And I know that that's vice versa. Of course, you don't have Animal Kingdom there, but
Right.
California Adventure Park, it seems like a little bit of mix of all of them in one, outside of Disneyland and Magic Kingdom.
Right.
Disneyland Park. Yeah.
Yep.
This person says, so excited to see the differences when we visit in July. Avengers Campus, Cars Land, Pixar, and more. I think you're going to love it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And one thing I hear routinely, because we do a decent number of these sessions of agents who've gone out to Disneyland. And one thing I hear routinely from people who've experienced both coasts is that the food is better in California. Like, that's one of the most common comments that I get from people. It's like, oh, all the food in California is way better. So, if you're a foodie, maybe that would be another reason to make the trek out
definitely.
there too. Yeah. So, final question of the night before we wrap it up tonight, ladies. And this is a question that, we ask almost every week in every session that we do. Why book your Disneyland vacation through a travel professional like us?
Hotel selection is huge.
Mm-hmm.
It is like Karen said, it's a different, ball game. You've got the three on this side of the country. It's more, there are a lot more off-site properties, and knowing exactly how close those are to the parks, knowing whether you can walk, knowing whether you need transportation, and does that transportation cost additional? You've got to really think about and take all those things into consideration. I think there is, on the flip side, in California, there might be an overwhelming amount of off-site properties, and having a travel agent who knows where those are located, has had their eyes on the property, because, this is not Disney sitting on a large parcel of Disney property. This is Disney in the middle of a city in Anaheim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's, having someone who can advise you of the best place to stay based on your family's needs is really huge when it comes to Disneyland.
Absolutely.
And also too, it's not, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Karen.
Oh, no, Ginger, go.
I was just going to say also too, keep in mind that it doesn't cost you anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And having somebody we say this all the time. And if you guys are, watch, fans of Sundays with MMT, which I hope you are, because this is fantastic. That, we love this stuff. And so I think getting someone also who it doesn't cost you any extra, but that level of enthusiasm and love of the product, I really just think makes your planning experience that much more fun, because we get super excited about it. And so I think that comes through, when we're helping you plan as well.
Totally agree.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that we have already addressed all the comments that we've got. So I will just put this out there. If you are maybe catching this after it's no longer live, not too late to ask those questions. We do monitor these on Facebook and on YouTube after the fact to see if people have asked questions. So feel free to go ahead and still ask those, and one of us will come back and address that for you. But we thank you all so much for watching with us tonight. We hope that you took something valuable away from this. Keep in mind that it is completely free to book through one of us. You are going to pay the exact same amount to book through us as you would pay if you just went on the Disneyland website and you booked that vacation yourself. But when you go through one of us, you are going to get that person who, like Lindsay said, loves the product, knows the product, can walk you through really every step of the process, whether you are brand new or a veteran to Disney. Just having someone in your corner to be there if something unexpected happens, there's incredible value on that. And I think that we've seen that a lot over the last couple of years, the value of travel professionals. And it's funny to see how, a lot of people, I think, pre-pandemic were like, travel agents, those are still a thing. And after the case, people are like, I'm never booking another trip without a travel agent. So, why would you not, get something for free if that's an option? And it is when you're booking your vacation through one of us. Oh, we did have one more comment come through. Disneyland is so magical. I can't wait to visit again. Thanks, ladies. Thank you for
Yes.
that very kind comment. But we thank you all for watching with us. We hope that you will join us again in 2 weeks because we're off next week. But we hope you would join us again in 2 weeks for another episode of Sundays with MMT. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.